Hello. Hey, if you guys want to, while I get everything like connected, streamed to Facebook, you can hop into the chat and say hello. I've got two screens going here so that I know everything is working and I can see the chat. Let's see. I want to make sure that I can mute people when they come in. All right. Go ahead and make sure you're muted when you pop in. All right. And I want to make sure we are streaming to Facebook. Everything's good there. Should be about set here. Just pop in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me, and then we'll get started. Let's see. All right. Can you hear me? Looks like everything should be good. Let me know in the chat if you see the chat. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're a fellow Michigander, Diane. Welcome. I'm glad you can hear me. Thank you for responding and letting me know that. I appreciate that. All right, hopefully we've got everything. Oh, yeah, we're getting set up with Facebook. It takes a moment to do its thing. All right. Share to the group. Florida. It's not snowing there. What part of Florida? My parents are in Venice. We were just spent a couple weeks in Florida, Marco area over the holidays, which was really great. I'd never been there before. Beautiful, beautiful beaches. All right. There we go. All right, we're live in Facebook, I think now. Got it. All right. All right. Go. Okay, let's get this rolling. Jacksonville, cold. All right. I think that's relative though. All right. Cold in Florida is different than cold in Michigan, but I get it. All right. So welcome. All right. So this is a 5-day series. Clean eating for real life. So what I want to do, like, there's so much information out there, right? And I want to just break things down this week to practical, real life. We're all busy eating healthy, eating clean day after day, cooking from scratch, all these things. It's hard. It is really hard. But if we shift our mindset and if we have tips to improve efficiency, and if we learn kind of some food prep strategies, and we learn how we can find convenience foods that are healthy, we can take all of these steps to make it easier. Okay. So that's what I want to talk about this week. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about clean eating from all different areas, from like looking at our plate to being balanced, to support our metabolism and time-saving tips. I hear that, like, that's the biggest thing I hear is, I don't have enough time. How do I make this work when I'm super busy? We're going to do a cooking class that will be on Thursday. This red lentil soup is so delicious. So we're going to make that on Thursday, and you'll just join me in the kitchen and we'll make it together. And then we're also going to talk about some specifics for some foods to really avoid. And I say that with a caveat because in general, I don't like to tell anybody to avoid anything. but these are actually not real foods. So I put a caveat there. All right, so today we're focusing on clean eating swaps and just looking at labels, the ingredient labels on our packaged foods. All right. So I'm Christy Bowlby. I'm the face behind This Meal by Design. And like I said, I'm in Michigan. I've always been in the Midwest. But I've also been able to do quite a bit of traveling during the COVID years. I guess we're still in the COVID years, but when school was kind of closed down, we took our kids and bought a travel trailer and did a lot of traveling around the country. So we hit the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, and I fell in love with the mountains, which I hadn't really been in the mountains as much, but we had like 24 national parks, and we were in Montana and out west in Washington, and it was so beautiful. So I can't decide if I like the beach or the mountains more because I've always been a beach girl. I love the summer. But then it's in Michigan, we're covered in snow right now, and it's beautiful here too. So anyway, it's all fabulous. But this is also showing you a picture of my why. Oh, Diane, yes, I will. I will give you the ingredients for sure. So this is my why. This is my family. This is us on the beach in, this is actually Siesta Key in Florida. But I have multiple reasons why. My biggest one is health, right? It is health for myself and my husband so that I can be an engaged, active, healthy parent to my children. But I guess what really changed in my life, where all of these changes kind of stemmed from, was when I was pregnant with my children. So I guess they are really my true why. And it's partly their, helping them to develop a positive relationship with food and feeding them clean, whole, real foods. And so that they can grow up to be healthy and more emotionally stable and really understand what they're putting in their bodies. So, and then coming to the change, the change is really the slow incremental changes over time. So when I started learning about this, when I was pregnant, my oldest is 12. So that was like 13 years ago. It took a while. It was like a step-by-step process to learn these things. And I started one step at a time. So wherever you are right now, just know that you can take one step forward every day or every week or once a month, just to start to implement this, and the small changes will add up. All right. So, and Diane, back to your question here. I decided to create you guys a workbook to go with this. So I'm in the process of doing that. You'll probably get it via email tomorrow. And in the workbook, I will have all of the soup ingredients so that we'll be making it on Thursday. So you'll be able to purchase the ingredients and be able to make it with me on Thursday. And this comes together super fast. So it's a meal that we can easily make together. So keep an eye out for the workbook. That will be coming your way shortly. All right. So let's get into this. I'm going to jump right into some of these packaged foods that you can swap to start feeling better right away. Here are just some examples of things that are in my pantry, pretty typically, and we'll get into more detail about them shortly. But I think that awareness of the way our food industry markets products is really important. So my thought is to just keep dripping this information to you. You're free to take it or leave it. You are free to make swaps where they make sense for you. And I say this because anything related to healthy eating is a spectrum, right? And I totally get that. And I live a little bit more on the extreme end of the spectrum. I do a lot of cooking from scratch, but I didn't start there. I started, like I said, like 13 years ago, and I was learning every day, and I dove in. I got fully on board, but I didn't change over my lifestyle and my whole pantry and kitchen right away. It was a process of learning. It was a process of slowly implementing as I researched, as I watched shows. Like back then it was like Food Inc. and Super Size Me. And I learned more about our food and how animals are treated and those types of things. So awareness is the first step. And to learn to start looking at the ingredient labels, and then you can become slowly over time more adept at reading them so you can make informed choices. So that being said, I'd also like to address the word clean, okay? So I use the word clean often, and really what I'm coming back to when I talk about clean eating is eating as many whole, real foods as we can. And I never want to insinuate that some foods are clean and that makes other foods like dirty, or there's foods that are good and bad. I have an online course with a coaching program. It's called Clean Eating Academy. And it's self-paced with coaching in group settings along the side. And I talk about this mindset shift and how we can work to shift the way we look at eating, to not think of it as a diet or full of restrictions. It's natural human thought that as soon as we look at or we think about foods that we should not eat, we actually start to think about them more, right? And then food and taking care of our health can become a negative thing if we're thinking about the things that we shouldn't be having. You lost the video. Anybody else want to chime in with that? So it causes guilt. It can cause guilt after eating something that kind of society has told us is not good for us. So we want to remove that. And I gain so much joy from food. I love food. I love talking about it. I love eating it. I enjoy cooking it. And so I want that for you as well. And so what we're looking at is overcoming this mindset of avoiding or restricting foods, and to focus more on balanced eating habits that are sustainable for the long term. And so I talk about this a lot. I talk about the 80-20 rule. I talk about 80% of what we eat, and we can look at this in different ways. We can look at our plate. We can look at kind of what we bring into our homes. We can look at it in a day. We can look at it overall for a week. But 80% of what we're putting in our bodies is more healthy and clean and whole food based. And then we've got this other 20% that we always give ourselves grace, but we really allow ourselves to enjoy foods that we love that maybe aren't on that scale, right? Where we eat birthday cake when we're celebrating friends or family's birthdays. We go to the cocktail parties over the holidays, or, on the weekend when we go out to dinner with friends, or, wherever some of those pleasures come from, enjoy them, right? It's not about complete restriction. Our society and culture have made it so normal to think that foods are good and bad, or some are off limits, or we should restrict, carbohydrates and that kind of thing. And while it's definitely true that some foods hold more nutritional value and benefits than others, it's also okay to eat some foods solely because they provide us with enjoyment, right? They're tradition in our family. They fulfill a craving. That's okay as well. So these foods don't have to be off limits, and you don't have to track every calorie or carbohydrate that you put in your body. And we're going to get into all of that in this balanced eating and a balanced plate a lot more in Wednesday's workshop. So more on that is coming. All right, so the science, just a quick overview on the science of what we're specifically talking about and looking for in the ingredient label. So related to the chemicals, the artificial ingredients, the dyes, preservatives in our food, we're going to dive deeper into food dyes specifically and inflammatory cooking oils on day 5. But today we're just going to kind of get an overview of some recognition of clean food swaps. So all these ingredients, these artificial ingredients and dyes and preservatives are affecting our health. And even more importantly, they're affecting our children's health because their little bodies are bombarded with these fake harmful ingredients every day. And they're becoming the norm. They have become the norm, which allows us to be desensitized to it. It's like everybody's doing it. It can't be that bad. And the marketing, the commercials, the ads on YouTube that our kids are on YouTube all the time, it seems like. And even the snacks offered at school make us believe that our kids are getting healthy foods. And that's all a lot of the marketing, right? But the reality is very different. And we can make a difference in their future. We can shift our palate, our taste buds, and their taste buds to not crave those foods. And because they are addicting, right? I just watched the Quit Sugar Summit, which was really, really good. And they talked a lot about the research related to how sugar affects our brain chemistry very similarly to other addictions. And that is real. And I'm sure you felt it. I'm sure if you eat even a meal that has a lot of carbohydrates in it, not balanced with fats and proteins, it feeds something in us and we start to crave more carbs. It's the same thing with sugar, and it's the same thing with some of the other ingredients that companies put into packaged foods that actually trigger our brains to crave more of it. So one way to stop that cycle is to start to make swaps, right? And think about those other foods in the 20%, the in moderation, and we can start to reverse that pattern. So we're looking to offer these cleaner replacements that provide nutrition, and more importantly, they don't harm our health. They don't feed the inflammation. They don't feed that sugar addiction. And science has linked food dyes and preservatives to ADHD and hyperactivity, among other things like cancer. Like you'll see that in the EWG app and website, that a lot of these additives, artificial ingredients, are carcinogenic. And this is real. This is no longer correlation, it's cause. And more research is coming out, and we're starting to see a shift in stores, and it's driven by us, right? The more we ask for it, the more we buy these cleaner ingredients, the more companies will shift. We just want to make sure that the companies are not just shifting their marketing, that they are, the food industry and the products that we buy, that they're actually shifting the ingredients, not just what they tell us on the box. And that's where we have to be a smart consumer. So we need to be aware of the marketing gimmicks. We just can't trust the front of the box. And it's time to open our eyes to all of this and make the switch. All right. So it's a cute little turtle. I used to have pet turtles. So one more thing before we look at some examples of food swaps, and I have like a ton of stuff around me to show you, that it is okay to take it slow and to just switch out a couple items. You don't have to tackle this like full kitchen makeover, throw everything away, unless you want to. That's fine too. I can help you with that. But even if you just commit to like one small step, maybe you start it today, and maybe it's just one a month. Maybe you decide it's one a week. When you go to the grocery store, you're going to look for one change, one swap for something that you buy every week. But know that small steps over time will absolutely build to alter your health and allow you to feel better. Your energy levels will increase. Your mental clarity will improve. Emotions will be more stabilized. And part of this is how these ingredients affect our hormones. So if we can get our hormones on track and think about the metabolic level of what food is doing cellularly in our bodies, our cravings will change, and the changes over time can be dramatic. So one small right action every day will make a difference. So think about that for a minute. Like, look at your day. What one action could you take today that you know would improve your health or mental well-being? That could be removing something. That could be something that you know you maybe isn't the cleanest, that you could swap. Since we're talking about food swaps here today, pick a food that you eat, maybe daily, that could be swapped for a healthier version. So what happens is that swap, the new, healthier, cleaner food option, becomes the new norm, right? After you swap out, maybe it's your coffee creamer or the crackers or chips that your kids eat or you eat for a snack daily, or your taste buds will start to adapt to that new flavor. And you can still find delicious substitutes. I've done a lot of testing. I've had some things that are not so great. And after, maybe a month or so of this change, and you go to the grocery store and now you grab that alternative and it becomes your new norm, it will be what you expect. It'll be what your body knows and what you automatically reach for and what your taste buds adapt to. And then as a new brand or a new food becomes the norm, it won't take as much willpower anymore. It's just what you reach for. When you go into the salad dressing area of the grocery store, you're going to grab a solid, clean brand, and then your brain can just be like, this is what I buy now. This is what I get. And the temptation will dissipate over time, and you won't need as much willpower. You're developing new habits, and that's where massive change takes place. Yes, we're going to be talking more about salad dressings very, very soon. So it's when you go to the store and you say no to, I'm going to go to a big one is like a common one, very popular, Doritos, right? They're filled with preservatives. They're filled with food dyes, but there are healthier alternatives to that. And so maybe that's not what you buy on the weekly, but when you're really craving a Dorito, there are other options that can feed that craving without going down that path with all the preservatives and the food dyes and all of that. So then you keep that initial change and you choose another ingredient for a packaged food to swap out the next time, and you keep building on it. And yes, Kim, I totally agree with you. I've made some food dressings in the Facebook group, and I make a lot of my own. And I love to cook things from scratch. But when it comes to real life, I know that so many people just need to have the packaged goods. So I'm focusing there today and definitely getting into more of the cooking from scratch as well down the road. Okay, so that's the key here. We're not giving up. We don't have to give up convenience. Cooking from scratch is going to be more reasonably priced and it's going to be healthier, but there are clean ingredients out there, clean packaged goods. So more and more are available. And if you don't have them locally in your grocery store, there's online resources that are available as well. Amazon has a lot. I use Thrive Market. I get a big box from there. I just got one yesterday. So there are some resources to get things online if you can't find it locally. And I am a huge advocate of cooking from scratch, but the reality is that a lot of us need convenience foods to survive, right? Am I right? To preserve our sanity. And so let's look at some of those examples today. And keep in mind that the accumulation and the frequency matters. So when you're thinking about what to swap, another factor to consider is how often you're eating it. If your kids eat pancakes every day for breakfast or cereal, then that would be one that you want to swap more readily. If you have coffee with creamer in it every day or multiple days a week, that is something you might want to look for a cleaner swap for sooner. If you buy chips, once every couple months, that maybe isn't quite as urgent as some of the other ones. The other factor to consider is the number of artificial ingredients on that ingredients list when you're looking at some of the packaged goods, because again, this is a spectrum. So if you buy something and it's already kind of healthier, cleaner, that might not be the first thing you swap out to find an even cleaner version. So when you're looking at the ingredients list, if you're not recognizing the ingredients, if they're man-made, if they didn't come from nature, if you can't find them in nature, then those are the ones that should throw this like red flag alert to you. So if most of the ingredients are not real, then those are the first ones you'd want to look for swaps for. Okay. Oh, let's switch here. Let me see if I can figure this out. All right. All right. I think now you should be seeing me. So you can adjust the view on this as well so that I'm bigger if you want to like take a closer look at what I'm holding up. But we're just going to run through some ingredients here, some snacks that I have in front of me, and talk about them just so you can start to have this conversation in your own head as you go grocery shopping or look in your refrigerator or your pantry and try to figure out what you might want to swap. So relative to that picture I just showed you, milk alternatives are a big one that are just consumed by a lot of people. And we are not completely dairy free in our house. I have one daughter who does not tolerate dairy very well, but the rest of us do. So I buy raw milk, but we also use milk alternatives, primarily oat milk. We also use some almond milk, but I tend toward oat milk. And I'm going to talk about why on Thursday, and some things that are in all of our nut milks that we should be aware of. So the three that I reach for, we use coconut milk quite a bit. Coconut milk in a can is pretty easy to find. Clean, simple ingredient coconut milks. So Native Forest is one brand. Thrive Market has a brand. There's a few others out there. And the ingredients are organic coconut milk and filtered water. So that is a very, simple ingredient list. Milk is another brand. They have oat milk, they have almond milk, they have other types of milk alternatives, filtered water, organic gluten-free oats, and Himalayan pink salt. 3 ingredients, no guar gum, no carrageenan. You're taking out a lot of those preservatives. And then this is another brand that is great, 3 Trees. This is actually new to me. I've been buying milk for a while. Before milk, I bought Elmhurst, which I could get delivered. So in COVID times, that was great. It would deliver monthly to my doorstep. But 3 Trees is, again, filtered water and organic almonds. So very, very simple ingredients. And this one tastes really, really good. So those are some examples of some clean, simple ingredient milks that are out there. Okay, salad dressings. So when it comes to salad dressings, there are 2 main ingredients that you want to look to avoid in your salad dressings. One is the base oil that your salad dressing is made from. You want to avoid sunflower oil and canola oil. And so these 3 brands, Drench is one, California Olive Ranch. I talk about this all the time. I I get a delivery from them. You can choose. I think it's every 2 months that I get it. And I get my olive oil from them. They have marinades, they have salad dressings, they have sauces. They're great. And then Primal Kitchen. This Primal Kitchen is becoming available at Kroger, Meijer, more of the mainstream grocery stores, not just your Whole Foods or Sprouts or, those more specialty health food stores. But these are 3 great brands also because they do not have to be, they're shelf stable. You can get them online through Amazon or through Thrive Market. So the base of each of these dressings is olive oil. All right. So that is the ideal base. Avocado oil is okay as well. And that's the great base. So when you look at this salad dressing and the ingredients in it, it's kind of like what Kim was saying. It is so easy to make your own salad dressings. And the ingredients in this, it's a Mediterranean lemon, is olive oil, lemon juice, grapeseed oil, which is okay, sea salt, garlic, and mint. That's it. How easy is that to make your own? But sometimes it's just easier to buy something, right? The reason why they probably added grapeseed oil in here is because olive oil becomes a solid in the refrigerator. So grapeseed oil keeps it more liquid. Diane, you asked what the 3rd ingredient was. It was olive oil, lemon juice, grapeseed oil, sea salt, garlic, and mint. Those are the ingredients in here. And then this is more of a marinade and a sauce, not a salad dressing, but similarly. So in sauces, I mentioned the one ingredient to avoid, which is, 3rd brand, got it. Drench, California Olive Ranch, and Primal Kitchen. So that was the 3rd one, is Primal Kitchen. In our sauces and our salad dressings, anything that comes in a jar, are sugars. There's so much sugar and, the preservatives and other natural flavors and all of that. But there's sugar in so many spaghetti sauces, barbecue sauce, dressings, ketchup, and it just does not need to be there. So that's another thing to look at. You can certainly find sauces without sugar in them. Okay, so I'm just going to run through these ingredients. California Olive Ranch, water, tomatillos, green tomato, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, which kind of like the grapeseed oil keeps it more of a liquid. This one does still solidify, but it's easier to mix together. And green chili, cilantro, onion, sea salt. This does have some cane sugar in it, lime juice, concentrate, and garlic and cumin. So simple, simple, simple ingredients. Everything you recognize, right? That's the idea. Okay, so those are some options for brands to look for. And then if you're analyzing what you already have, you can check to see how they match up, right? Because there's other brands out there that are great. These are not the only ones. Okay, crackers. So we are not big cracker people, but we do on occasion have crackers for sure. So when we go to buy a cracker, these are a couple brands that my kids eat. One is Simple Mills. And I did not get into detail on the EWG Environmental Working Group website. They have an app for your phone, but they look at the overall health of packaged foods, including the nutritional content, and they give it a score or they give it a rating. And so part of it is, are the ingredients clean? Is it avoiding some of these dyes? And yes, thank you, Kim. Target does sell these. I love that they're getting into more and more stores to be readily available for us. And with EWG, it also takes into account the nutritional value. So even though this is a cleaner option for a packaged food, a cracker, it doesn't provide you much nutrition, right? So it gets a lower score relative to that. So there's a spectrum here, right? If I'm going to choose something healthy, I would not choose a cracker, but I'm going to eat crackers when I have a charcuterie board and I have cheese and I have good salami, right? I'm going to choose I'm going to eat crackers on occasion. So we want to have those healthy choices available to us. And so the ingredients in Simple Mills, I love Simple Mills has become my go-to for pancake mix and even some of their muffins and things that my kids at, my daughter at the age of 10 can learn, kind of start to learn some cooking by using a box mix, right? It's a convenience for sure. So the ingredients here are vegetable flour blend, which is a blend of sweet potato, parsnips, and celery root. Take note, no fiber, like that's not actual vegetables, but it's vegetable powder. Seed flour blend, sunflower seeds and flax seeds, cassava flour, which is another grain, and then tapioca starch. It's a gluten-free grain, by the way. Tapioca starch, organic sunflower oil, Himalayan salt, and rosemary extract. The other thing I've been researching with Simple Mills is that the sunflower oil they use is, let me get the words right, high oleic sunflower oil, which is the extraction and processing method of that does not use chemicals. So it is healthier for us. So do note that in general, I like to avoid sunflower oil, but there is a kind of newer way of producing sunflower oil if it's high oleic sunflower oil, and that is a healthier version for us. Okay, so you recognized probably all of those ingredients, right? You didn't see any of this sodium, monophosphate, blah, blah, blah. Those are the things that we're looking to avoid, things that are artificial ingredients, chemicals, not real foods. Another one, and this one is also readily available at a lot of places. These are rice crackers, and these are thin, and the kids will put, peanut butter on them, or you could hummus on them. And they're just organic brown rice and sea salt. So again, if we're going to talk more about the balanced plate and how we want to balance our macronutrients, which are our fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. We're going to talk about that more in depth on Thursday. But this will still, if you just eat a rice cracker that is brown rice and salt, it'll spike your blood sugar, and that affects our hormones. So we do want to stabilize that. So adding fat, adding protein to our crackers is important. But if we're just looking at a cracker at a baseline level and simplifying the ingredients, this is a good option. All right, let's talk about pancake mixes. Two favorite brands here. So again, Simple Mills, great brand. And then Bob's Red Mill is another really good brand. And again, looking at the ingredients, these ingredients are almost exactly the same. We have almond flour, arrowroot powder, organic coconut sugar, which does not spike your blood sugar, the same as cane sugar, organic coconut flour, cream of tartar, baking soda, and sea salt. And hopefully the other thing that this might trigger in your brain is that, oh, wow, I could make this from scratch. These are pricier, right? If you think about those ingredients and you stock those in your pantry, putting together your own pancake mix is actually pretty easy. Even putting together the dry ingredients in a mason jar, right? So you essentially scoop it out just like you would scoop out a half of a cup of this mix to combine with eggs and water to make your pancakes. So just keep that in mind. It might not be where you are today, but it might be the next step. So the Bob's Red Mill, the ingredients are I think they are exactly the same in this brand. So two great brands for pancake mixes. Okay. Let's chat. Oh, a cookie. This is a cookie that I just recently found. and they're really good. Emmy's Organic. They have different types, soft and chewy coconut cookies. They have chocolate ones. They have ones with mint, I think. There's like 4 or 5 different ones. And again, they're not perfect, but it's a spectrum, and we're looking at a cleaner option. So ingredients here: coconut, agave syrup, chocolate chips, and almond flour, coconut oil, vanilla extract, and Himalayan salt. So pretty simple. My kids both love these. So they're a nice, option to have when we're looking to have a cookie. Let's talk about chips for a moment. So 2 different options. These I just got in my Thrive Market box yesterday. So when you're looking at chips, they are starting to make more chips with avocado oil and coconut oil. And so those would be the 2 oils that would be most ideal for when you buy any kind of chip. So these are potatoes, coconut oil, and Himalayan pink salt. And I have not tried them yet. But this is a great option, or just to kind of trigger your brain on what to look for when you're looking for a cleaner version of a chip. The other one is plantain chips. So we've started buying these in place of tortilla chips. I still love tortilla chips and guacamole. It's like one of my favorite food combos. So, but this again is your plantains. You can also find plantain chips cooked in coconut oil. This particular brand has high oleic sunflower oil, so it calls it right out on the package that it's that specific better version of sunflower oil, and salt. So again, very simple. If you want to try these, and like they're great in guacamole, or just when you're looking for that crunch added to, whatever you're eating, or with chili or something like that. Okay, just have a couple more. Yogurt. So I only have one example of yogurt right now in my refrigerator. This brand is new to me and I love it. Kalina plant-based yogurt. This is coconut based. So it is hand shucked coconut water. It does have agar in it, which is not ideal. That's kind of a thickener, and probiotics, but it's still very, very simple ingredients without any added sugar. So that's what I'm looking for. If you want to add your own sugar, that's often going to be better. You can control the amount and you can control the type. So coconut sugar does not spike your blood glucose levels, the same as cane sugar. Also, and this can be substituted 1-for-1 for any recipe that calls for cane sugar. So if you checked out my hot chocolate recipe, it's cacao, not cocoa, but cacao with coconut sugar. And it's so good. You do not know the difference. Honey and maple syrup are our other go-tos in our house for sugar. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again and head back over here. All right, so I told you guys that I was planning. All right, I told you guys that I was planning to create this workbook for you. And in the workbook, you will see an action step for every day of the week. So the action step for today is to write down 3 to 5 packaged foods that you purchase often. And if 3 to 5 is too many for you to think about right now, just pick one. And it's important to look at this from the perspective of quantity. So you could even look at eggs. If you eat eggs every day, you might want to, and I'm happy to help you with this, you might want to look at the quality of the eggs you're eating, right? Quantity matters here when we're trying to start to make some changes. So again, you're not worried about the cake that you have, a few times a year for special events or birthdays. You're going to focus on what you buy weekly, what you purchase for your kids or yourself. on a more frequent basis. And I think a great use of the Facebook group, Clean Eating Community, hopefully you guys are in there, I think most of you are, is that we could share, if you guys want to share any packaged foods that you're struggling with, like, I love this, what is an option to substitute? I will help you with that. I can go to the store and I can look for different substitutes or look online and help you to figure out what might be a good substitute. So please feel free to post what you're struggling with or what you want to swap. Because some of it is like, okay, I want to swap out, whatever it is, a granola bar. And you're like, where do I start? How do I start looking for this? So I'm happy to help you with that. And sometimes it's time, right? You don't want to be in a grocery store looking at ingredient lists. You're like, I have a half hour to grocery shop. I need to be in and out of there. That's all totally fair. So this is how I want you to take action. I want you to write down 3 to 5 packaged foods and then come up with some alternatives for them next time you're at the store. Okay, so here's what's coming up. Today, obviously, was clean food swaps. Tomorrow, we will be talking about time-saving meal prep, meal planning tips. And then Tuesday, my kids have a half day of school and we're celebrating, my daughter's having a birthday party at our house. So we will skip Tuesday, but then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will be back on Wednesday talking about balanced eating to support our metabolism and hormones and stabilize our blood sugar, which matters for us as women, as well as our children. And then Thursday will be the cooking class. We'll be making red lentil soup together. So I will get you the ingredients for that by tomorrow. And then on Friday, we'll talk about these 2 foods to remove from your diet and why, and it'll kind of bleed into a few other things, I'm sure. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Let me check the chat here again. Oh, you're so welcome. I'm glad you found it useful, Kim. I just love sharing this stuff. I could talk about it on and on. I expected this to be a half hour. There were a lot of tangents, but if you have any questions, email me, put them into the Facebook group, and we can all learn from each other. I can tell from the chat that you guys are already pretty savvy in some of this. So I could learn from you too, learn some of your favorite brands. So I would love for this to be a community where we can learn from each other as well. All right, this is being recorded. So I will have a replay available for you. And I will see you tomorrow again at 1 o'clock. I hope you have an awesome rest of your Sunday. Hope it's relaxing.